Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
All right, so I am going to do a quick little build breakdown on my 2020 CRF110. It's basically set up for streets and wheelies. I really don't ride dirt very much with it, but I will give you some tips from me who has done a lot of trial and error on this thing and learned a lot about it. So I will tell you all my little pro tips, and if I was to go buy a brand new one, like what I would be doing to set it up for streets and for wheelies. And honestly, if I swapped the dirt tires, this thing would be perfect on the dirt. I used to ride on the dirt. I just don't do it that much anymore. I'm a pretty big dude. Riding on the dirt, I always get hurt, and it makes work hard. And yeah, I need work for money. So yeah, I'll give you a little breakdown on this, and yeah, you'll have to ignore the mess. I know that the garage is a disaster. Bear with me. I will work on getting it cleaned up, but this video is also filmed the same day as the last video. So don't hate on me too much. I'm trying to get some videos, get some momentum going so I can kind of get like motivated to continue making videos. I don't know if this is going to be a thing or not. If I'm even going to upload them, we'll see. But I need to do something. It's winter, kind of going crazy, so I got to do something. So this is my little breakdown on that bike, and I'll do breakdowns on all of these bikes. I've got 5 bikes and 4 cars. Most of them are pretty much stock, but my drift car is got some little hidden odds and ends that I can share with you guys, and things I've learned on that too. So yeah, I'll give you guys some tips on my shit and builds and stuff if you ever want to do it yourself. So yeah, here we go. All right, so I'll try to do a full walk around, and if you have any questions, just let me know. But let's start at the front and we'll work our way back. So we'll start at the wheel. I've got Gator rims on this bike. The front is a 2.15, 12 by 2.15 Supermoto setup. I got the Shinko SR 723s. My front is a 110 7012. This bike I have the EBC sintered brake pads. I would give them if you're looking for like pads to make these drums work good, I would probably just go stock. They work, but they're not great, and they don't have as much material on them, so they're not going to last as long as stock, and they really don't bite like any harder than stock. So that's brakes. This has the TB fork assemblies, so they're blacked out, which is sick, but basically it's pretty similar to like the BBR suspension, but comes with the black lowers, and it's just complete assembly, so you just replace it all. I have the UFO plastics on this. If you're wondering about the headlight, the tail light, the street legal kit, this bike has a MI Moto Mods Stage 1 street legal kit. It's pretty sick. I would highly recommend it. For me, I'm not like super patient, and wiring and stuff is hard. So like, it's not hard, but it's like hard for me to do it like clean and make it worth my time. So the wiring harness that comes with this kit made the whole thing worth it. And you can just put it on, takes about 2 hours to put on, go get your bike inspected, and boom, you go to the Secretary of State and you got a street legal 110. So I would highly recommend that MI Moto Mods street legal kit. I just go with the Stage 1 kit because I don't ever run a front brake light. So I just keep my thing, and then I just use the rear one. So yeah, I mean, if you wanted to spend more, you could get probably, I think you can get the same lever, but it comes with the addition for the brake light. Yeah, and it comes with, you can set it to like high beam, low beam. It comes with the switch. You wire it into the ECU. Everything, it turns on with the key. It's pretty sick. Let me turn the key on real quick. There's that. And then you gotta turn the kill switch on, and then you got lights. I have mine set up. All you have to do is disconnect one wire and it'll switch it. So you can use the switch as like high beam, low beam. But, and you can turn it off too with this switch. But I just have mine set so they're both on all the time. I've gotten this bike inspected. No cops really care. It depends on where you go. Some are like really strict, but I just did it in my local town here and they're all pretty chill. So, all right, moving on. We've got, I like the stock throttle the best. I had the T-Rex throttle on it and I don't like how short it is. It's too snappy for wheelies. It's like when you're at like balance point, it's really twitchy. So I would recommend stock throttle with a, I believe this is a Faster Minis or a BBR full-size throttle tube, but I would only recommend going with the metal ones. The plastic ones are junk, in my opinion, for the money. They don't last that long, especially if you're wheeling and learning to wheelie or riding in the dirt. They get filled with dirt and sand, and or if you are riding on the street doing wheelies, they shred off easy. So I would only go with the billet ones, or I think it's billet or aluminum, whatever the fuck it is. It's metal. I'd go with the metal ones. They don't stick like the plastic ones. So yeah, that pro tip there. BBR cables, brake cable. I have, because I'm a big dude, I have the bar risers, Dirt Bike Kids bar risers. I don't think they make these anymore. I probably wouldn't recommend them. They don't bite that hard on the bars. I could probably do something to like grind it or file it so it has like more of a bite. But I have had this where I've hit jumps many times and the bars will just fold down, and that super sucks. So probably wouldn't recommend those. On this bike, which is all swapped now to Grom suspension and everything, I had just straight up like bar risers and like a longer bolt on the stock upper triple clamp. That's what I would go with if I didn't already have these. Shit, sorry, it wasn't even in the frame. But that's what I'd go with if I didn't have these. I think I went with like a 30 millimeter riser. I'm 6'3". Pro taper bars. I have the key in the stock location. It's really hard to reach. You gotta like wiggle your fingers like all the way down there. Bar bag, keep my registration in there. Cops have messed with me. They really don't like when you don't have your registration on you. So let's go down. I have an air filter. I have the silicone intake tube. Just I don't know what filter's in there. It's just a regular replacement filter. CJR throttle body and intake. I have a CJR S1, I think, cam in here. CJR adjustable cam gear. I have tried it advanced and I have tried it in the retarded position. I would definitely recommend. It changes the power band a lot. Like, I know this thing, it's a 110, so it doesn't have like much of a power band, but it seems like when you keep it in the stock position, it's like most linear. Whereas if you turn it retarded, it has like no bottom end. Or I might be thinking of this vice versa, but, and if you advance it, it has like no top end. So like when you're trying to do a wheelie and it wants to come down, it doesn't have that like linear power depending on like where you are in the like the rev band or whatever, the RPMs or whatever. So it like doesn't have the power to bring it back up if you let the front wheel come down a little. And all I really do on this bike is wheelies and ride it on the street. So I like CJR cam gear in the stock position, or just use your stock cam gear. But I have heard of those breaking. So I know this is probably a lot of information, but you know, if somebody watches this all the way through, they're gonna get a lot of information out of this. This bike has stock piston, stock jug. I do have a Takagawa big bore kit in that box. I had it on this motor. This bottom end is tired, so I'm retiring this motor that came out of this bike. But the Takagawa big bore kit is fucking great. It runs great, holds up great. I have not had a single problem with it. And the Takagawa cam is great too. That bike has, or that motor that was in that bike had the Takagawa cam and everything. Big bore kit. It ran phenomenal. So I bought a fresh one for this. I could probably use that one, but it probably has, I ride the shit out of these things and that has a lot of hours on it. So I bought a new one. Just start fresh next season with a fresh piston, fresh jug, whatever. All right, moving back. This is the MI Moto Mods rear brake switch bracket, and this is the switch, and it comes with this little thing. You got to drill a hole in your brake lever. I would highly recommend a extended brake lever if you're gonna do wheelies, especially if you're a bigger dude, have big feet. This helps a lot. Like my foot, the old brake lever sits like right here, and like your foot sits here. So it's like literally in the middle of your foot, which is not ideal. This gives you a lot more like control over the rear brake, much better. I like stock exhaust on these bikes because just keep it quiet, keep the neighbors happy, as quiet as possible. Yeah, stock clutch. I've got the, what is this? Kinetic MX peg bar mount. I bent both of my stock ones, so I just went upgraded and buy once, cry once, get the nice pegs, be done with it. Rear brakes are the same as the front, EBC sintered. They got like the lines in them. Oh, excuse me. Rear wheel is a, I think it's a 2.5. Let's see if it says, yes, it is a 2.5. So it's a 12 by 2.5 with a 120/70/12 Shinko. It's the SR723. I like the way they look on this bike with the red graphic or the black and white graphics, but I don't think they look as good with the red graphics, obviously, because it's white walls, whatever, but that's up to your own opinion. Let's see. Fresh chain, stock sprockets. I like stock sprockets, so I still retain like some of my top speed. A lot of people like to go down one in the front, but if you add a little bit of power to these, and you know, if you weigh any less than me, it'd probably be fine. I like the stock sprockets for the street, so I can still cruise at like maybe 40. So stock front and rear, nice gold chain. That's about it. I mean, I got a shift lever. The BBR seat is decent, but I will say I think I like the stock seat better. It's obviously not more comfortable, but if you're gonna be doing wheelies, this locks you in a lot better, I think. And this little corner coach thing, this is super, super nice. But I don't have one on this bike because it's stock suspension 110, so the balance point's not that far back. This bike is Grom swapped. We'll get into that another video. Grom swap bike, balance point is way farther back, so it feels like you're sliding off the back. That little thing helps a lot. But yeah, UFO plastics. If you want to get the graphics, I got them on Faster Minis. Pretty much everything on here is either CJR or you can just get it on Faster Minis. Gator rims, you just look them up. I think 73 Moto Parts also makes these wheels. Not the same, but they're similar. You can get a 12/12 setup, have a cool Supermoto. Also, Cop and Sting just came out with their version, which are 3.0 rears and 3.0 fronts, which is pretty wide for these bikes. The only real advantage I could see to that is you might have, it would stretch out the front tire a little more, and you might have a little more, what do they call that? Contact patch on the front tire. Whatever. I got a really good deal on these wheels, and when I got these, Cop and Sting didn't have their wheels out yet, but I haven't heard anything bad about them, so I think they would look sick if these were black. I think the black would go good with the rest of the bike. You know, everything else is pretty much black, white. But it also kind of matches because the frame and shit is all silver. So whatever, you know, personal preference. It is what it is. One more tip that I'll give you. Maybe I'll give you a couple more tips, but this brake lever, the breakaway brake lever on faster minis, super, super sick. If you want your front brake to work on a 110, I would highly recommend this brake lever. I think it's 50 bucks and it is so worth it. So worth it. Especially if you can get it on sale or something. Another tip, I have a wheelie oil pump in this bike. I don't know that it's completely necessary. Here, I have one out of this bike, I can show you it. But I don't know if it's like super necessary. There it is. It's got the tube on it, so it goes to the back of the motor, picks up the oil from the back when you're doing a wheelie. I don't know that it's super necessary on these bikes. I rode these and did wheelies on these for a long time before I put those in. Never had a problem. I think I was taking it apart and I just wanted to do it anyways. So I did it. But, you know, I have friends that do wheelies on these things nonstop, never have a problem. Yeah, I don't know how important that wheelie pump is for these bikes. I know for Groms and shit, it's like essential, but I think you'd probably be fine without it in these bikes. And the main reason I did it was because I had to do the oil pump gear. These come with a rubber oil pump gear. It's kind of similar to like this. It's like rubber and they deteriorate like, oh shit, like this one's falling apart. This isn't an oil pump gear, but it's a tensioner for a CRF125. And you can see it's just, I mean, oil, it's rubber in oil, so it just deteriorates. Let me try to get that focus. It just falls apart. Like it's super dry rotted, not good. And basically it's like a gear on the outside of that. So if that oil breaks down that rubber, then your oil pump gear stops and then you have no oil pressure, motor blows up. Bad day. So I did the oil pump gear, and when you do the oil pump gear, you have to take the oil pump off. So I just replaced the oil pump with the wheelie pump. Not super hard to do. If you have any questions, I can try to explain, or I'm sure there's videos out there somewhere. Maybe, I know Faster Minis just came out with an oil pump gear and maybe they have a video on how to install it. I also have a CJ, or it's a Deca manual chain tensioner. Keeps the chain nice and tight, but this chain is pretty slopped out. That's why I got a big bore kit and a new chain, timing chain. And that's about it. I have the CJR cam chain guide. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this bike. I mean, that will get you pretty much dialed in for wheelies and street riding. I've heard that you're supposed to relocate the breather that goes back into the intake. And if you ever notice, like after doing a lot of wheelies, you'll have oil leaking out of your intake on that tube over there. And people get freaked out. They're like, oh my God, whatever. It's just because the PCV, or I'm an idiot, but not PCV, but like crankcase pressure pushes oil out back into the breather, or sorry, couldn't talk, can't talk. But basically when you're doing a wheelie, the oil goes into that breather and then goes back into the, shit, I'm not even pointing at it. Goes out of the motor, through the breather, into the air box, and then it leaks oil. But the thought there is that the oil goes back into the motor, whatever. So I've heard you're supposed to take that breather from the crankcase and run it down the back of the bike so that the oil drips out instead of back into your motor, and then it'll smoke like crazy because it's going back into the intake. Less than ideal. Probably not gonna kill anything, but a lot of oil is not good to go into the combustion chamber. So yeah, that's me nerding out about bikes. I fucking love these things. If you want a bike to learn wheelies, this is it. These are the best bikes to learn wheelies, in my opinion. No clutch to worry about. Super cheap to replace parts. I've crashed these so many times. Plastics, I think I got these plastics on sale for like, I think it was Father's Day or Labor Day or something, but these plastics were like $40 fucking, and then the graphics are pretty cheap. But this is the best bike to learn how to wheelie, in my opinion. I learned how to wheelie on it. Super good. I even learned on stock wheels. These wider wheels help a lot, keep you like more balanced left and right. But I learned how to wheelie this bike on stock wheels. So it is possible. All you have to do is get seat time. You just got to get seat time and you will learn how to do wheelies. Just practice, practice, practice every single day. If you don't, you're never going to progress. Like, you can't practice one day, one weekend for 20 minutes or an hour and go, oh, it's not working. What's the problem? And then give up. You have to continue practicing day in and day out. You know, I used to go every day after work, and now I go when it's nice out. I mean, it's 20 degrees and snowing outside right now, but in the summer, I take this thing on the road every single day. I ride every single day. And you just progress, just get better and better, slowly but surely. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. So if you want to learn how to wheelie, you don't have to buy one of these, but I'd recommend buying one of these and practicing every single day. And yeah, so yeah, I'll try to put some clips of me doing wheelies on this bike. I don't know if I have any clips of me wheeling this bike with these plastics and how it looks right now, but I definitely don't have any videos with the white walls because I just put them on, but I'll put some clips in, and yeah. All right, so that's basically that. That is pretty much my full build breakdown on a CRF110 2019 Plus. That is what I would do if I was to go buy a brand new one. I would put all those parts on it. Not all of it's necessary, but it all makes it a lot better. Like, I've tried a lot of things, and I can go into more detail about that if anyone has any questions, if you want to ask me anything. I've tried a lot of parts, and this is what I've come up with is the best recipe for like success on doing wheelies continuously for hours on end. Like, I've ridden this bike, I don't even know. I've probably ridden this bike, probably doesn't sound like a lot if you ride a big bike, but this is a small ass bike. I've probably ridden this thing 500, maybe 1,000 miles this summer. Like, that might be a reach, but I have ridden this bike a ton this summer, and it never lets me down. I never have a problem with this bike. I love this bike. Yeah, so that's what I would do. If I was gonna go buy one, that's what I would do. Everything I just said, you have any questions, just ask, let me know.